Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our WebEx session. I am Kalman Makay from the channel team, and on today I will moderate our events. The WebEx session's topic is Unified Infrastructure Monitoring with Broadcom UIM. Our special guest and the presenter is Piyush Vachhani, our CA Practice Manager. He will guide you on today. In the next 60 minutes on the presentation level, Piyush will share you the details of our UIM solution. The event, as always, will be recorded, and later we will share the recording with you. If you have any question, then please use the chat window. And Piyush, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Kalman. Thank you for the introduction. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Piyush Vachhani. I'm the practice manager. What I'm going to do is I will try to make this more conversational. So what will happen is, if you have any questions, feel free to send it on chat. And what I'm going to be doing is and Kalman, if you can monitor the chat. And what I will do is I will make a pause after time to time, and I will take these questions. And maybe during that time, if you want to, unmute yourself and speak up, it should be okay. Okay. So
just a remark before you start that if you can go closer to your microphone, or you can change the microphone settings, would be nice, maybe, because your voice is not 100% clear.
Okay. All right. How is it now? Is it better?
Little bit better. Yes.
Let me see. Just give me 1 second, guys. I will try to fix this thing. Kalman, can you hear me now better?
Absolutely. Loud and clear. Absolutely. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello?
I hear you. We hear you.
Can you hear me now better?
Yes, absolutely clear and loud.
Okay, great. Guys, I was just changing my audio. So without taking much time, let me start. So today, actually, we are going through unified infrastructure monitoring webinar. So when we say unified infrastructure management or unified system infrastructure monitoring, is the same thing. We call UIM. The name of the solution is called UIM. And UIM is all about finding and detecting the problems in the infrastructure level, right? So our infrastructure, before even I go to the infrastructure level, actually when early days of monitoring, started many years ago, right? And when we said monitoring was all about, getting the availability of the devices. So if the devices were up and running, if the devices were down, if the device had some failure, so that's basically what we have been seeing across many years, right? So the first maturity level was to just get availability of the. Then we went into when we said performance means if there is a slowness, if there is a slowdown, if there is kind of bottleneck, if there is some kind of jam, some kind of congestion. So that's basically was the performance side of it, right? Then actually we move to the responsiveness. So if the infrastructure is responsive, or if the URL or some kind of web portal is responsive, is it slow response or a bad response? Was there a 404 error? So that kind of thing actually we have been dealing across years, in the responsive level. So then actually we moved on to the observability side of it, right? So when we say observability, that means we are looking at from the business perspective, not just from the IT perspective, not just only from the device perspective. We are looking from the holistic view. So is it impacting your user experience? Did you miss any SLA? And the risk of missing any SLA, right? And then we moved and moving now towards the future, which is the autonomy, which is where we talk about remediation, where we take action on fixing the problems, what went wrong, how I can bring back these outages or these slowness issues, how we can do it better. So this is actually over the years we have seen the maturity of the monitoring or the observability solutions, right? But what we have today for you is unified infrastructure management. So unified infrastructure management also have gone through that maturity curve from monitoring to the autonomous remediation part, right? So that's what we do. But in a nutshell, why we need infrastructure management? The reason we need infrastructure management is because the customer is running data centers, either it's primary data center or the disaster recovery data center or a cloud data center or a hybrid data center, a combination of all these things together, right? But during, when you're in operation mode 24/7, when you're running all these different technology, in the infrastructure, whether it's a traditional technology, right, where you're using some network devices or some appliances or Windows or Linux or Solaris, things tend to break down and things tend to be slow, or there can be some kind of issues, operational issues. So we need this software to monitor these issues, to monitor, this traditional infrastructure. And also what we have seen over the past 15, 20 years is customer have moved to the virtual infrastructure, or customer in past few years has moved to a container-based infrastructure. So if the problem comes in the pod level, in the container level, in the virtual machine level, or in the physical machine level, we need to detect these problems, right? So we monitor those using infrastructure management. We are also monitoring private cloud and public cloud if the customer use these cloud solutions, and if the customer also use some SaaS solutions, like 365 or Salesforce, we need to make sure we can monitor this on the URL level and detect if there is kind of slowness or issues. But the whole objective is to find the problems in the infrastructure and alert the right people and fix the infrastructure problems, right? That's what we do over here in the UIM. And UIM is not a traditional monitoring solution. It came long way, since a while. And where we have zero touch configurations. So when I say zero touch configurations, means you don't have to touch any threshold. You don't have to, touch on the application or you just define the policies, and automatically once the device is discovered, it will be monitored automatically. So this is some kind of things that we are doing. And the advantage is we are monitoring not just performance, but availability, logs, SLAs, and response. And if the SLA is about to breach, if the performance is degraded, if we see some kind of exceptions or errors in the log or some response issues, we have alerting mechanisms and we have the dashboards to notify people and to show things in one pane of glass. Okay. So that's what UIM is all about. I'm going to go into more use cases, more details of what UIM does, but I will just take a pause and see if there is any questions. Kalman, if you have anything on the chat, let me know. Or if you have any questions so far. Okay. So now, when we say UIM, as I mentioned, we can monitor production data center, disaster recovery data center. If you have data center in the same location, different sites, different country, we can monitor those. Or also or you are using some kind of cloud also, infrastructure as a service or platform as a service, we are able to monitor. So we are able to monitor on the hypervisor level, on the virtual machine level, on the physical machine level, on the database level, and the SAN level. We are able to monitor those things. Okay. So this is, and it's a probe-based monitoring. So we have different probes available, that can go and monitor some piece of technology there. Okay. So it's a hybrid monitoring, as I mentioned. So physical devices or virtual devices or data center or private cloud or public cloud. If it's a router, if it's a switch, if it's a load balancer, if it's a virtual machine or physical machine or appliances or clusters, you are able to monitor those from UIM and have it in one pane of glass. Okay. When we go inside the server, we have multiple areas where we can monitor inside the server. We can monitor things like CPU, disk, memory, file systems, directories, processes, and services, that we can do. And also we can monitor, like logs, like event logs or performance logs, things like reboot or restart, and also what type of input and output devices are there, and if they are down, So this on a holistic server level, we are able to monitor, and we are not just limiting ourselves from Windows. We are doing Windows, we are monitoring Linux or different flavors of Linux or Unix or Solaris or AIX. We are able to monitor, and also like VMware or Hyper-V and IBM Power. All these we are able to do it in the same place. When we talk about the infrastructure, we are also talking about the backbone. So if your infrastructure backbone is supported by multiple softwares like WebLogic or SharePoint, these are some examples like UCS or some Java applications or some messaging queues or IBM servers or Apache, even Active Directory, the DNS. We are able to monitor the backbone of the infrastructure. So when we are monitoring, we are not just talking about events, but events, alarm, topology, metrics, logs, all of them is being monitored from the infrastructure side. Okay. When we talk about the storage monitoring, we are monitoring different brands, different makes and models of the storages. These are just some examples that you see in front of the screen. So things like the brands like NetApp or Pure Storage or 3PAR, Ceph, we are monitoring those. In storage, I/O is very critical, so we are monitoring I/Os. We are also monitoring, let's say, for example, SAN or NAS type of devices. We are monitoring compressions, we are monitoring volumes, we are monitoring arrays. So basically, deep dive monitoring is happening. So if any of the arrays is impacted or any of the volumes are I/O or deadlocks or throttle, any type of problems are coming, from the performance and availability, you will be notified. And these each of these different brands or different models, they are supporting different technologies, right? Some of them are using SNMP, some of them are using SMTP, some of them using SSH, WMI, REST API, SNI. So whatever technology actually you use, we know this underneath technology to monitor these different the storages here. So this is another advantage that we have. These days, we have seen a lot of customers are using big data. So when we say big data, these are some examples like Hadoop is very commonly used big data, Hive or Cassandra, Flume, these are very common. Zookeeper, Spark, they are very big data technologies that is being used by customers. So we are monitoring all the big data pipeline, even if it's on-prem or if it's in cloud, we don't care. We are monitoring all of them. Okay. Then sometimes you will find there are a lot of black boxes. Sometimes you cannot enable SNMP, you cannot put an agent or a probe in there, or you cannot use REST API, because they're black box. So sometimes logs can tell us the story. Logs can tell us the more details about if there is any performance issues. So we have log monitoring. From the log monitoring, we have logmon probe, where actually we can go read the log files, we can read the content of the log files, and we can actually send an alarm if we see some type of strings in there. So we cannot just do log files, but we can do HTML pages, some text files that is generated by the applications or the operating systems, and reading the logs basically. Okay. Then we have something called response monitoring. So unified infrastructure monitoring, another use case. Let's say you have a URL, let's say you have a website, or you want to monitor the response, how much time it took to respond, what was the DNS lookup time, what was the browser time. So we are able to get this information. Not only we are limiting ourselves to URLs, but also we can monitor the DHCP, we are monitoring the web services, and we can put some synthetic scripts in there to also monitor the response of any web app. Okay, and this response we can put it in the dashboards or the reports. Okay. Then also what we have come across, about customers are adopting Kubernetes or OpenShift and container-based technologies like Docker technologies. So we actually are monitoring both Docker and Kubernetes, the orchestrator and the container itself. And here we are checking and monitoring what is the runtime, what is the full topology, and if there is any problems or issues in the Docker area, or the Kubernetes area. So we are giving the full stack, even the network level or even the infra level, both, and whatever the infrastructure is hosting, the operating system or the Docker engine or any application inside the Docker engine, we are able to monitor with this with UIM basically. Okay. Public clouds are very popular. You know, a lot of customers are using infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service from vendors like Azure or Google or Amazon Web Service. So we actually have built probes which can go and which can monitor and collect the data from these different public clouds. And if there is some kind of problems, if there is some kind of issue, we are able to monitor them. So things like virtual machines, things like networks, VPCs, your different services in Azure or Amazon or Google, we are able to monitor them through the probes available over here. Okay, even the billing can be done, right? So this is what something we can do. We can also get the inventory, the groups, the metrics, all this style of data we can go and we can monitor. Okay. Before I move to alarm management, just I want to take a pause. And Kalman, are there any questions on the chat?
No question, Karim.
Okay, guys, just I want to just take a pause. Just ask, are there any questions, guys? You can unmute yourself or just yes, Ryan. Go ahead, unmute yourself, right? Tell me what your question is.
Amri, I will unmute you so you can ask.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Good. So basically two questions, Piyush. One thing is that is the tool compatible with any IoT devices? Because usually some of the requests coming from the customers is having a tool that can monitor everything in their IT, whether it's like IT equipment or non-IT equipment. For instance, maybe cameras or I don't know, maybe biometric equipment, all that stuff. Is there any compatibility between the tool and generic maybe IoT equipment or protocols? And the second thing, I've seen you talking about probes. So basically, is the probe equivalent to an agent that you install on one server, or is just one instance, maybe a virtual machine, or I don't know, some sort of software that goes into a segment of the network, and then it collects data from all the underlying infrastructure in that segment of the network? Basically, those are my two questions.
Very good question, right? So let
Thank
me
you.
ask you to answer the first question. So you talked about IoT devices, you talked about CCTV cameras, you talked about the biometrics, right? So can we monitor that? So the short answer is yes, provided if these devices are SNMP enabled. So let's say if my biometric or IoTs or this is SNMP enabled, yes, we can monitor that. But let's say the SNMP is disabled for whatever reason, and so if it is enabled, we can just do the basic ping. We can just monitor if it's up or down, but we would not know if it's an IoT device or a biometric device. But we know it's an IP address, and then you can say that this is IoT or biometric or CCTV. You can monitor. So ICMP has to be enabled for the pings. SNMP has to be enabled if we want to monitor. But let's say the ICMP is blocked, and let's say the SNMP is blocked. So then what we can do is, if there is a controller that is controlling the CCTV cameras, or that is controlling the IoTs, or that is controlling, the biometric. So if that controller, we can push like an agent or a probe, or if that controller can send us the health or performance data from a API or a URL or from some kind of calls, SNMP calls, we can actually take that information, right? So either it has to be SNMP or ICMP, or we need to push an agent. But even if we cannot push an agent, we need to use the controllers that is controlling the IoTs or the CCTVs and the others. But let's say even that is also blocked, then what we can do is we can send some synthetic packets. But this is not the UIM area. This is another monitoring we do using a solution called AppNeta, where we can send synthetic packets and we can gather the performance information, right? So there are multiple mechanisms we can make that happen. But especially for the Wi-Fi or the wireless control, we are primarily relying on SNMP. But for all these IoTs, usually what we have seen is we are talking to the controllers and get things done using SNMP or pushing an agent. Okay, so this is answer number one for you. The second question, what I understand, is the probes. Yes. So UIM is all about, UIM means Unified Infrastructure Management or Monitoring, is all about probes. So the probe basically is a piece of code or piece of technology that is used to monitor. So we have a probes for Windows, we have a probes for CPU disk memory, we have CPU probes for log monitoring, we have probes for DNS, we have probes for VMware. There are multiple probes there, and probes can be an agent or agentless. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, if you want to monitor a log, there's a probe. That probe, you need to install it on the virtual machine where you are monitoring the logs. Or let's say you're monitoring CPU disk memory, you have to install that probe or that agent where you need to monitor. But probes can be also like VMware probe. So for a VMware probe, it's a REST API based probe. So you do not need to install any agent. It actually uses REST API. Even the Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, or Azure Cloud, it's all REST API probes. So you do not need to install any agent or any probes basically in that piece of software. Similarly, also we have, in storages, we use a protocol called SMIS. So for SMIS, you don't need to deploy a physical probe. You can put it on remotely and collect the data. So these probes can be agent or agentless, depending on the type of technology that you want to monitor. Talha, I see that you raise a hand. If you want to unmute yourself and ask question. I hope that was I answered your question.
Okay, Taha, I sent a request.
Question related to the reporting method, because it's been a long time that the UIM has improved some added new features regarding to the reporting of infrastructure element or any. So as far as the reporting is concerned, that there are some concerns about the reporting, that when we try to create a report in the UIM, that the out of the box reporting mechanism, so the reporting is not at the upper level. So for example, that if I created a report and I have to push that reporting rights to a particular user, so every time he has to use a report designer or a report viewer from using the admin page. So is there anything in the upcoming releases or in the current release of the UIM that we have to restrict the reporting rights to a particular user, that you like a dash like, so he can only have a read only view of reporting, and there is some proper reporting view of the a particular device for better reporting purpose. Like I have some other cases, like different users and different team members from other organizations, so they are integrating this UIM with other reporting tools. So like Grafana or some other, like the open operational intelligence of Broadcom. So as far as the out of the box reporting mechanism of the UIM, so is there any changes planned in the upcoming releases?
Yeah, Tala, so very good question. So yes, we have many changes. So historically, we've been relying on Jaspersoft for the reporting, right? This is traditionally we've been relying on that. But in the past release, just one release before, a bigger better reporting dashboard capability came into picture. So you have an option to choose from Jaspersoft, or you can use the new reporting actually that is coming with the UIM. Okay, and that is actually native reporting. Actually, it's a dashboard basically. In that dashboard, you can control the views. You can control, which reports, which dashboards, who you want to give access. So you have that. So bigger, better reporting is there. Currently, there are limited out-of-the-box reports and dashboards because it just came out in the last quarter. But in future, definitely we have plans to include more out-of-the-box reporting, in the new reporting engine that we're shipping it. And also, as you mentioned, the customer has multiple options. Option number one is to send all the data to operational intelligence, which is another software, a manager of manager softwares, which can look into the monitoring from a holistic, not just the infrastructure level, but in terms of transaction and user experience and synthetic monitoring and all the network topology level. So from there, you can see bigger, better, nicer reports. Or you can use tools like open source like Grafana to actually pull the reports to do that. But now, actually, the bigger, better reporting actually came in the last quarter with the new version, and more out of the box would be shipped in the future. But I will show you a glimpse of how it looks like, because it just last quarter only the new version came out. So you will have better enhancements in the reporting side of the world in UIM.
Piyush, question came through the chat. The first question is, does UIM support the current Dell enterprise storage platforms? The slide only made mention of the Dell EMC legacy platforms, which are now end of life.
Let me just read. It's in chat, you said, right? Let me just read the chat.
Okay.
Dell enterprise legacy. So for that, Evans, yeah, I saw that. Evans, if you can tell me the make and model offline, if you can send me the make and model of that, because that Dell EMC, yes, you're right, legacy. But what is happening is with every release, some new probes are getting introduced, right? For example, Cohesity was introduced, so new probes are getting introduced. So if I actually can get the make and model of the Dell enterprise storage platform, so we can check the list, if it's been available or if it's going to be available in the future. So that's something we can do that. Yeah. And I also see one more, this one. So high level UIM architecture SaaS components on-prem. Okay, so basically I will cover the architecture also. It's coming in the future slides. It's available on-prem. It's not available on SaaS, but you can put it on cloud. It's not an appliance base. It's a software that you need to install. I will just cover it in the future slides. Okay, and you can install it on your data center. We would need Windows virtual machine or Linux virtual machines. It can run on Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle databases that we can do. But I will show you the architecture. The architecture is scalable. Okay. Yes, UIM can integrate with other vendor observability and monitoring tools. So currently we have integration with DX NetOps. We have also integration with DX Operational Intelligence. These are some of the tools that we have, but also it has some connectors where you actually can forward the data. It requires, there's a REST-mon actually that is coming with UIM. With the help of REST-mon, you are able to integrate with any third-party solutions. Okay, so this is something we can do. Thank you guys. Thank you for asking questions. Keep it coming. So I will continue and take a pause, and then again move on to the next thing. So now let's go to the alarm management. So consolidation of alarms. If it's alarms coming from a cloud or an on-prem, or a storage, you will have it in one pane of glass. So this is something that you can do. You can integrate with ITSM system and enable a bi-directional integrations. So integrations with, let's say, Broadcom ITSM or ServiceNow or Remedy ITSM, these are all supported out of the box available. So you can have an alarm translated into an incident and let people work on it. That is something that you can do. And also you are able to suppress the alarms. You are able, and this suppression, some of them happens automatically, but also you can put some policies, some rules in there where you are able to correlate them, right? And you can put thresholds inside the systems, and from the thresholds you are able to send the alarm if the threshold is breached. And it's a tenant aware, so it's a multi-tenancy. It's used by a lot of MSPs, MSP customers. So where you have access to different tenants and different data. And this is something that you are able to do in the UIM. The other thing is the performance insights. So if you want to look at the performance charts, if you want to have the reports or dashboards, the new reports dashboards I will be showing it to you, a glimpse of it, because in future when we will have more out of the box, we will show that more. Metric viewer, so you can have different metrics that can come. You can pull, drag and drop metrics and see them, and you can define the aggregation interval. So the performance health information you are able to see, and also you are able to see some prepackaged reports, right? top 10, by CPU, by memory, at a glance report, health index. And these reports can be exported in different formats, for consumption, maybe PDF or PowerPoint or Excel is something that you can do, right? And persona-based dashboards are available. So, for example, you have an executive, they have their different KPIs. They want to look at from the high level. And let's say you have an operations or operations manager, they want to look a little bit detailed. So that also you are able to configure those views in the dashboard. And then you have the technology-based dashboard. So when I say technology-based dashboard, I want to see what's happening in Oracle. I want to see what's happening in VMware. I want to see what's happening in Office 365. So each piece of technology, here as an example, you can see the GCP or Tomcat. You can go and you can drill down into each technology and the KPIs or metrics of each technology. This is something that you are able to do, right? Now, I saw a question related to architecture. So architecture as of UIM is scalable. There is an application server. As you can see, this is the application server. There is a database server. So you can see this is the primary and secondary hub. So you can cluster it. You can have one primary or have multiple primaries. Then you can have secondary hub. So let's say each hub is monitoring, let's say 500 devices for you, right? And let's say you have 5,000 devices. So you can put, let's say, 10 secondary hubs, or let's say if you want to do load balancing, so you can have that secondary hubs for you. And then you can have primary hubs. So secondary hubs are recording to primary hubs. And then you have a UIM database. That database is reported to the primary hubs. And then you can put the secondary hubs closer to your virtual machines, closer to your physical machines, closer to your appliances, right? And data collection is happening agent and agentless. So agent is needed if you want to monitor logs or memory or processes or operating systems. And agentless is mostly on the network side or the databases side or the cloud side of the virtualization. So you're collecting those. That's the data collection that is happening. And then the UIM is covering more than 150 technologies. Whether it's a bare metal, it's a cloud, it's a container, it's an application, it's a server. If it's DNS, we are monitoring that. So the left side that you see is what we are monitoring. The middle that you see actually is data collection. This is basically agent or agentless. This is basically the probes that we are talking about. And the probes can be in the form of multiple things, right? REST, SOAP, HTTP, CLI, different depending on the technology. And correlation and aggregation is happening through the message bus. So from the message bus, we are collecting metric events, logs, and devices. And as I mentioned, it's scalable. So if you're an MSP, you can deploy secondary hubs in your customer sites, and they can supply the data to primary. And primary will become basically a centralized operations center, right? And we are supporting Azure SQL database, SQL Server, Oracle MySQL. But these are multiple databases that we are supporting. And these primary hubs, secondary hubs, and database can be on-prem or you can put it on cloud, not SaaS, and you can offer it as a service. But once this data is available, then you can visualize this data in two consoles. There's an admin console. This is only for the administration. This is only for the administrator to set up policies, to set up rules, set up user, set up upgrades. And then there is an operator console. Operator console will see the dashboard, will see the reports, it's going to see the performance charts, the alarms, the inventory. All this would be done through the operator console. And it's based on HTML5, JavaScript, CSS, React. All these are technology behind the scenes. So visualization layer on the far most right, then you have the servers, the correlation aggregation layer, database layer where all your data is stored, right? Then you have the data collection layer. So through the probes, agent or agentless, you're collecting the data. And the leftmost side is the technology, that you are monitoring. If it's a storage, if it's an Active Directory, DNS, whatever, container cloud, you're monitoring. So this is multi-tier. Each tier can be clustered, and you can put multiple clusters in there. Okay, so this is something that we are able to do that. Okay. Now, let me just talk about, some of the life cycle. So once you're onboarding a device or an application or a database or something like that, so there's a discovery and inventory management. Okay, then there is a policy driven. So if you put a policy there, automatically the probes would be attached, or you can physically attach on remotely attach the probes, and then you can do the monitoring and do the governance part. So from discovery to inventory to monitoring to probes to governance, all this life cycle you keep on doing it. So let's say a new version of Oracle database came out, a new version of some other Tomcat or some came out. So you need to upgrade the probes to make sure that you are able to monitor. Or a new version of storage came out. So make sure that the storage probe is available so you are able to monitor those. So that's how we are onboarding these different devices or these different infrastructure. Right? That's what we are doing. So this is just a testimonial from a customer. We cannot name the financial services from because of a non-disclosure agreement, but they found multi-tenancy to be very good. You know, they found multiple instances. They found that the UIM was able to handle the complexity and amount of data and reports and different business needs, different performance charts, different KPIs with different tenants. So a large organization, financial head of IT operations were happy with this UIM solution. Okay, and other thing also I want to mention is observability view. So we are able to monitor the observability. Guys, 1 second. Let me see where I. Guys, can you hear me? I think I lost. I think my PowerPoint crashed.
We hear you. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I think it looks like my PowerPoint crashed, so I'm just going to bring that up. All right. So observability view. So when we say observability view, again, this is also that came out in the last version. Also is a new. That's actually is a dashboard. So when we say observability, we are not just talking about a database or a virtual machine or a cloud. We are combining the KPIs that we are collecting for a virtual machine, for a physical machine, for a cloud, for a storage, for logs, and we are putting it in one pane of glass. That's actually what we are doing. That's what we are calling it observability view over here. This is the new view, new dashboard that you see here. Customers are also using it for SLA. Let's say you have negotiated the SLA. You know, you have an uptime of 99.9% on the database level, on the server level, you know, on the network level, on the infra level. You know, you have multiple metrics. You are able to see which of the if the compliance was breached or not, or you fulfilled the SLA, or you fulfilled 99.9%, or you breached it. You only did 95% or 98%. So these types of SLAs can be measured inside that. You can put the SLAs, you can put the contracts, you can put the quality of service metrics, and you can see if the SLA is breached or not. And you can see the historical reports, and you can see which SLAs were breached and which SLAs were not breached. And this SLA metrics can be defined in the SLA. You know, if it's a cloud-based, if it's a response time, the response time, let's say 5 seconds, or the availability time or uptime, whatever metrics you want to keep it in the SLA, you can do that. So that also is another thing, another use case that the customer used for. Okay. I also want to tell about the multi-tenant because earlier I told you about this one, but this multiple tenant is basically what we can do is we can put robots at different client sites. You have a customer 1, you have a customer 2, you are providing a managed service. You can put these hubs, the secondary hubs, you can put these robots or probes. Robot and probes are the same thing. So you can have multiple probes inside the robot, and you can have single operation center. And this one is specific for the MSP or the people who want to deploy multi-tenant, and they don't want to share the data. They want to have separate dashboards. They want to have separate groups. So UIM is for you. It's an enterprise grade for you, right? So this is something that you are able to offer as a service. If you're let's say selling an appliance, or if you're selling some database or some kind of service, you can tie it with UIM as well and monitor those. This is something that you can do. And these are just some examples of, you know, if you have an SLA to monitor application server or a database server or a mail server or a network device. So these probes actually is going to help you make that happen. And then you will have the performance and SLA reports that you can share with customers. Okay, that's how you're going to run your operations. But there are times that you know our customers ask, I don't want to put any agent. I want you to do one thing. I want you to monitor it remotely. So there are times we are able to do it in some use cases. So we can put a remote monitoring service. This remote monitoring service is basically a machine which is remotely, and the probe is deployed remotely, not on the actual virtual machine, but on a remote, and we are monitoring it remotely through WMI or SSH. So this option is also available, but again, it is only available for certain types and certain metrics that we can collect, right? So it's applicable for hypervisor, it's applicable for CPU disk memory, it's applicable for firewall, routers, cloud switch, it's applicable for that. So remote monitoring service also you can take advantage where it's an air gap network or where the customer doesn't allow you to put a probe in there. So this also can be done, get around, right? So these are some probes. These are some examples of the probes that you can see. We have probes for servers and application. You can see the list is huge, and this is not the full list. So if you want to monitor JBoss, we have a probe for it. If you want to monitor Active Directory, we have a probe for it. Let's say if you want to monitor SAP basis, we have a probe for it, or Salesforce. So these are just some examples. IIS probes we have, Cisco probes we have, DNS probes we have. Want to monitor DNS. If you want to monitor printers or processes or Logmon, IO status, emails, DHCP. So these are just different probes, right? When we talk about the cloud container and virtualization, these are just some list. You can see we have zones, we have ESX, we have AWS, Zen, Docker, GCP. All these are probes available. Even for the AS400, we have for the networking and all this big data we have. As I said, this is not the full list, but also let's say if the probe is not available, you actually can do customization and you can write your own probes. Okay. So now I see some hands there. So I'm going to take a pause and just now answer questions. So let me, yeah. So guys, speak up if you can unmute yourself and speak up.
Yes, Piyush, I have two questions. One I wrote on the chat. So we have some application level monitoring need to be done, like on a basic for the basic application monitoring. So can we monitor the WebLogic, WebSphere, and Java based applications using some using the probes on the UIM? And my second question is that you mentioned about the remote remote monitoring in the previous slide.
Yes.
Yes. So like we have a use case of an there is a cloud-based system of Red Hat OpenShift.
Okay.
So can we use this mechanism, the remote monitoring solution, for monitoring the Red Hat OpenShift? Because this is some critical environment, and I think that the customer or the team are not allowing us to install the robot or the agent on that particular machine. So can we use the remote monitoring solution for the use for this OpenShift monitoring use case?
Okay, no, let me answer your question one by one. So your first question was, you want to monitor Tomcat, you want to monitor, I think IIS or Java or something like that, right? So
yes, WebLogic, Java, and yes, WebSphere,
yeah.
WebLogic, and Java.
So WebSphere, yes. WebLogic, yes. Java itself, no. You can monitor JVM little bit, but you will not get the full details. You will not get the transaction details. You will only get the details related to, let's say, if there is kind of deadlock or if there's some kind of trouble. So if you want to monitor it on the transaction level, our O2 solution or APM solution is the recommended one if you want to monitor on the transaction level. But let's say if you want to monitor WebLogic, WebSphere, IIS, and Tomcat, yes, you can use UIM to monitor those. You can use it. You will not monitor the transaction, but at least the IIS level, you are able to monitor the health of the IIS or health of the WebSphere or health of the WebLogic. So 100%, yes, you are able to monitor this to the UIM. Okay, this is number one. Second, for the OpenShift, currently, if you look at it, we do not have the OpenShift monitoring coverage with UIM. Currently, we are using APM, but in the future, the OpenShift probe would be coming in that you would be able to monitor. So currently, my suggestion would be to use Docker. So you can use the Docker probe to monitor that. OpenShift currently is not available. Hopefully, next release or next release, the OpenShift would be available for you to monitor. But currently, if you want to monitor OpenShift, yes, you can use the Broadcom monitoring, but not the UIM APM monitoring solution that you can use. And yes, what you can do is you don't need to put it on the OpenShift. What you can do is you can monitor it through the probes actually. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Kalman.
Yes. Okay. Yes. There is one more question. I can see the OpenShift monitoring probe in the probe list of the UIM.
Maybe they have released it recently. Then okay. So then maybe what we can do is we can just what we can do is since it's a release because it's a new one, so I'll let you know that if we can do it remotely or do we need some time to do that, right? So
Okay,
because
thank
I think this one is new; it was not there before. So I think we
thank you. No, thank you.
yes. Any other question? Yeah, I can see
Yes,
frame. Yes, that's
please check the chat window because some question came meanwhile you presented.
I see the storage platform PowerStore Unity. So yeah, Evans, what we can do, if you can drop me an email, I will check the make and model of these devices, Unity and PowerScale and PowerFlex. So that will be good because something we need to check in the list that it's there or it's going to be in the future. So that's something we can do. The other question I'm seeing it from Mohammed Shoaib. I can see whether agent will. So the agent installation will not compromise because agent is looking for a specific technology. So agent is looking for CPU, agent is looking for disk memory, agent is looking for response time. So it will not compromise the privacy because it's collecting the metadata. It's not collecting what a human or a user is doing. It's not saying, okay, if user is visiting a website or user is visiting a YouTube. So UIM is not monitoring any of that. UIM is monitoring if my CPU is up, or my server is up, my network is up, my network is slow, my network is down, my pods are having issue, my Azure is having issue. So it will not do in the privacy. It will only collecting because we are not reading any packets. We are only reading the metrics in the UIM. So that's how the UIM works basically. Okay. I do see another question: how often the updates for UIM release? I do see traditionally I'm seeing in once a year there's a major release, but minor releases you can see is coming almost every quarter. The release cadence is there. For that one. Okay. Yes, there is an integration. I see question. There's an integration with NetOps. Yes. So there is no plan to converge UIM and NetOps. That will be separate, but integration will exist. So UIM can send the data to NetOps, or NetOps can send the data to UIM. So if it's on the alarm level or if it's on the device level, yes, you would be able to do that. But if you want to merge each and everything in one pane of glass, our operation observability or O2 is the thing where you see everything. But if it's a small customer, they don't care about the AI part, they only care about the monitoring part, then you can propose UIM and NetOps, and you can have NetOps as a console where UIM data flows into the NetOps. This is something that we can do. Okay. Yes, right. Question?
Okay, my recommendation to continue the presentation because we have 8 minutes and part of the Q&A we can go through on the open question. If you agree with me, Piyush.
Sure. No problem. I think I only have maybe just a couple of slides, a few slides remaining.
Okay.
Let me
Then
finish those, and then we're going to be moving on with the questions. So let's do that. So right, just keep the questions. We'll be in a few minutes. We'll be coming out to you.
Great. Okay.
So yeah, we are just coming to the end. So when we say unified infrastructure, actually there's another testimonial we got. So we actually have a customer again in the same financial services. They were running 6 solutions. There was a monitoring, then there was a server monitoring, virtual machine monitoring. So there were multiple solutions they actually had in place. And they had multi-tenants. There were one group using one solution, another group using another solution, another group using another solution. So what they did, these guys, is they had a single interface. With UIM, they will be able to remove these 6 subscriptions, these 6 different software, and they had UIM to make their life easier. They would have multi-tenant, they would have everything in one pane of glass. So immediately you will see the return of investments when you get rid of these 6 subscriptions and go with the UIM. So that's something, one testimonial that we have, with single stack. Okay. Just coming on to, so now I'm coming to the end of the presentation here. Just to summarize, UIM is part of a bigger picture, and you see the bigger picture here. When I say bigger picture, we also have AI in the picture. Currently with the UIM, there is no AI. If the customer doesn't need an AI, you don't need AI. But if the customer is using AI to do predictions, if the customer wants to use AI to do capacity planning or forecasting, If the customer wants to use AI to, remove the noise and identify the root cause, using the AI and machine learning algorithms. If the customer wants to use machine learning to detect abnormal or abnormal behavior, anomalies. So we have a solution called AI Ops, which is extra and separate than our infrastructure, unified infrastructure monitoring solution that you can put in. So in total, we are providing the observability solution from layer 2 to layer 7, whatever you can monitor. But also we are providing an AI Ops solution where we are consolidating all the data in one pane of glass with artificial intelligence, with machine learning, with prediction capabilities. This is something we are doing. And this AI machine learning can also engage the right team. So if, let's say, there is a issue on the Cisco level or on the VMware level, or on the Azure level, you're engaging the right people to fix the problem by integrating with ITSM. It can be Broadcom ITSM, it can be any third-party ITSM systems that you can do. And also you can take actions. So when I say actions, that means you can take remediation actions. You can fix the problem. So let's say there was an issue in the disk level. We see the disk is about to be full. So we can go and we can automate a process of deleting all the logs or deleting the temp folder and free up the disk space. Okay, or restarting an application or rebooting a server. Some type of actions actually we can take, and this AI would recommend the actions. That's the job of AI. So you have an option to use the AI or without the AI, but both options are on the table. But we provide the full observability, full AI platform with action and automated action platform. That's what we do. Then what we have some resources. If you are a partner, you want to get trained, we have some resources. If you are in the partner portal, you can go and access these. You can access these resources, get trained on the software, so you can deploy, implement this software in your lab environment, in the production environment. Also, we have some marquee customers. As you can see, these are just some marquee customers. We got them some name drops. And also our position in analyst reports are very good. This is an example of a Gartner report that we have, and you can see we are one of the top players, the leaders in the area. Okay, so with that, guys, I am gonna conclude and now just open up for any questions, and then I hope this was good. Maybe we'll be doing future webinars in the future where we can do deep dive sessions. But this one is just to tell you, where we stand from the infrastructure monitoring perspective. Yeah. So now I will take questions, guys. So let me see. I'm just looking at the chat window. Are there any plans to return topology in UIM or the best combination? So Rock, actually for now, the best combination is NetOps and UIM. I actually need to check if there are plans, because I know earlier in 9. series, there used to be a topology in UIM. And I think when, after that stage, we decided we're going to remove it. And then we're going to use operational intelligence for that. But our best bet for now is going to be NetOps and UIM together, and use that as that. But if the customer is okay with the operational observability, then we can have it there as well. So that is question one. I do see another question. Can we integrate UIM to with same application UIM PM at the same time? That question I can come back to you, because I don't have the specific answer. If you can reach out to me offline, I can go and I can let you know, because I know that one UIM is connecting with one spectrum traditionally for sure. But let me see if you can reach out to me separately. I can come back to you. Another thing is, what is the pricing model for the UIM? So pricing model is very simple. It's based on number of devices. So when I say devices, I need number of virtual machines, I need number of physical machines, I need the number of services that we are monitoring in any cloud. For storage, it works differently. For 5 terabytes, we are counting one device. So 5 terabytes for SAN or NAS storage, we are counting one. So that is the pricing model. It's based on the number of devices. The ratios are different. For the ICMP or the ping base, it's 10:1. So there are ratios, but at the end, the customer will see the number of devices. Okay. I think there was a question from Wright. So I think, Wright, if you can unmute yourself and keep the questions coming before we conclude it. So Wright, are you there?
Okay, Amri, raise your hand. I unmute you.
Yes, Piyush, I can hear you. Actually, some of the questions were already asked in the chat, but I might add one thing. You already answered it because I was going to ask you about when to use the UIM and when to use the operational intelligence. It seems depending on the maturity of the customer on the use case. But one common use case that I have been seeing for maybe the last 2 years, some customers that I have worked with usually use SCOM to manage and monitor Windows infrastructure and VROPS for virtual machines. So basically what they request is that to keep those data collectors, consider them as probes, and maybe integrate them with maybe a higher layer of management like UIM or maybe the DX UI. So do we have integrations with those tools already? And the other thing, maybe in the same context, can we do the integration with the ITSM tools directly using UIM? Or do we need the management layer of the DXOI?
No, you don't need a management layer, so you can integrate directly UIM through either Broadcom ITSM or ServiceNow or any Remedy ITSM or any other third-party ITSM. So you do not need a management layer. So the difference between is what is the difference between O2 and UIM, right? There's a big difference. So O2 is not for all the customers. O2 is only for the large enterprise customers because O2 is coming with AI and machine learning. If the customer only wants to do the monitoring, with all the features without AI and machine learning, you can do that with UIM. Okay, so you do not need an O2 for that. So O2 is for a small customer, for a middle customer, for a large customer. Sorry, O2 is for a large customer, but UIMS can be for a small customer, from a medium customer, from a large customer. UIM is for everyone. UIM is for MSP. But if you are only an enterprise customer, you care about AI, machine learning, predictions, capacity, then you propose O2. And O2 is not a monitoring solution. O2 is a consolidated solution. Of course, now APM is there. APM is part of O2 now. But you can put APM. You can remove it or put it in from the licensing perspective. So only if you want to do deep dive transaction level, only if you want to have AI and machine learning capacity, then only propose it. Otherwise, if it's a pure monitoring, then you use the UIM. And the integration with SCOM exists, of course. Let's say if you want to integrate, there's a connector with O2, the SCOM connector that you can go and connect. For the VMware VROPS, I need to check if it's there. If it's not there, I'm sure they'll be in the roadmap there. But I can double check for you if it's available or not available. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Piyush, because no additional question arrived, we close the session now, and in the next few hours or days, we will release the recorded version of this session. Thank you, Piyush. Thanks for the attention on the audience side. I hope the delivered content was useful. If you have any additional question, then I shared my contact information. You see on the webcam. And let me to switch the camera, Webex QR code. This is it. So if you have any question, I share my contact information. Please read the QR code and contact with me. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.